Hello, everybody. It is Black and White with Brian Rundle and Lana Quest. My name is Brian Rundle, but you don't see Lana Quest just yet. Don't worry. I know there's a lot of Lana Quest fans out there, and she shall be joining me anytime now. She got home a little late. Lana's a very busy woman, so she's got a lot of things to do. She's got a lot of things to take care of, so she will be joining me here any minute. So when she does, we will really start getting into the meat of the show, of course. But obviously, our main topic tonight, and again, I've made the point numerous times that it's kind of easy now to do these sort of podcasts, whether it's on YouTube, if you do it on TikTok or whatever it is that you plan on doing it. It's kind of easy now because you have the best writers on the planet for your material. And the best writers, unfortunately, are the people who are in charge of our country. And it is such an embarrassment and a clown show that you really don't even need to know a lot about politics to be able to talk about it in a coherent manner and to express on how insanely ridiculous, inadequate, and underqualified this administration is. I've never in my life seen anything like this, and I have commented on it outside of this YouTube channel, and I am getting a lot of pushback from the MAGA people. And of course, it's the same regular, what about Joe Biden ruining our country for the last 4 years? You didn't say anything about that. And there's a main reason for that. And I didn't say anything about that because Joe Biden didn't ruin our country over the last 4 years. You flying monkeys have been programmed to believe that he has ruined our country over the last 4 years, regardless of being proven wrong on what you think that he's ruined about this country. Doesn't matter. You are sticking to your guns, and this is something that we have figured out about MAGA a long, long time ago. In fact, we're going to see it here tonight because they are all using the strategy that Donald Trump has used his entire life, and that is to never admit you're wrong and to attack back constantly. And it's not only Donald Trump doing it, it is the people around him, his sycophants, the people that he has hired in position to be yes men and women, to say everything that he does is right and everything that they do is wrong. And he's also got a right-wing propaganda media behind him that is so strong and so powerful that it leads people to believe that everything that they are saying is true. And they have turned our politics into professional wrestling, and they look at the camera as if they are expressing their views as a professional wrestler talking shit about the wrestler they're getting ready to wrestle, which is the Democratic Party. And it is constant. They have turned the Democratic Party into villains, not just to themselves, but to millions of American people. And it has been effective, and it has been very difficult to overcome. And there's got to be a way where the Democrats find a way to at least seep through a little bit. But the main way they're going to be able to do it is because they never will have the propaganda machine that the right has. The only way they're going to be able to do it at this point is the incredible fuck ups by this continuously happening under this administration. And there's one thing that is driving me nuts, and I am, from this point on, regardless of how I talk about politics, when I talk about it, this is my mindset from now on. I'm done with allowing the MAGA side and their view to run over the views that are right and the views that are true, instead of allowing them to continue with the false narrative about everything. I am absolutely done with that. I'm done with listening to these people run over these journalists. I wish these journalists, and I hate to say wish they had the balls. I'm sure they have bosses, and I'm sure that they have to continue on being as unbiased as possible, which of course we want all of our journalists to be unbiased. But when you have an administration that is blatantly lying so freely without any pushback whatsoever, it leads to a lot of Americans believing that what this administration is saying is true. Examples: you have Donald Trump that can look into a camera and tell the American people that pets are being eaten by migrants in Ohio, when none of that is even remotely true. You have Donald Trump looking into the camera and saying that we were spending millions of dollars on mice to turn them transgender. None of that is even remotely true, but people believe it's true. And that's why the Democratic Party to them is as outlandishly crazy as they are trying to emit out to basically the universe and tell everybody they are nuts, they are crazy, because all they care about is turning mice into transgenders. They're allowing these migrants to come into this country illegally and eat our pets and to rape our women and to murder our citizens, which that happens on a very, very small scale. And not to mention, Democrats are not letting in migrants who have criminal records. This is all insanity. And it really is concerning that we have so many people in this country that either believe it or they just need to or want to believe it. And either way, that's not good. It's really, really bad. And it's really sort of a testament of either the education level of people, because most people, and I know, believe me, I know plenty of people who at least graduated high school who buy into this nonsense. And you could show them this is absolutely not true. Doesn't matter. In front of me, they might give in for a minute, but as soon as they leave, they're right back to their nonsense. But I was going to say, speaking of nonsense, this is no nonsense. None whatsoever.
Speaking of someone who that's nonsense.
It's Lana Quest. In fact, I've already had like 8 chats. They said, "Oh, Lana's not here. I'm out."
Yeah, right.
Hi, Lana.
Hello. Sorry I'm late.
No. That's okay. I was going on a little bit of a rant before I really started getting on with the show, because I know you said you'd be about 5 minutes. So I said, you know what? Let me rant for a minute, and we'll wait until Lana gets here, and then we'll really start the show. But first, how are you, my friend?
I'm good. How are you doing? What's your rant about?
I'm ranting about something that I rant about pretty much every week. And the rant is that I'm done. First of all, the right-wing propaganda media is something that I rant about every week. But I'm done. I'm officially done. Actually, I've been done with it for a long time, so I don't know why I'm saying officially now, but I'm done with this idea that these assholes just go on TV, say whatever the fuck they want to with no pushback whatsoever. It is time to start pushing back. And I know a lot of these journalists have jobs, and if they continue to push back, a couple things going to happen. Who knows? Do they get fired?
Right.
Or you're going to have the White House say, okay, you're not allowed to be around us anymore and ask any questions. Right. Although I would really love to see a part where we get in this country where journalists are asking questions to these assholes, and they say something like, this Atlantic reporter who's a third-rate reporter and he's a liar and he just wants to, when they say shit like that, they need to turn around, pack up their shit, and not ask them a fucking question and just walk away from them and say, you know what? I'm not doing this with you people anymore. And then just let them do their own journalistic investigations on things and report it. Fuck asking these assholes questions anymore, because all they're going to do is lie right to your face. Fuck them.
Right. I know. But then what? Like, no, seriously, then what?
But if there's no pushback, Lana, what's the point of asking the questions? Or if they're not even going to allow any pushback, they might push back one question and then move on to another reporter.
But the question's there, right? Like, the question is actually information. So if we're not even getting the question, it can't even dawn on anyone out there, oh, wait, they didn't answer that question, right? Because the question is not being asked. So you don't know because there's no questions. And then where do the political journalists go? What do they report on? Like mushrooms? Like what
No,
happened?
I'm saying they still report, but they report on the flat out lies and just
Oh.
concentrate on the lies instead of asking them questions. And I may be naive into thinking that, we've already heard these reporters for years with the Trump administration ask these questions over and over and over again. And apparently it doesn't work because people still voted for Donald Trump.
Or not voted at all.
Or not voted at all. And right, exactly. And that's
Yeah.
why I'm saying, there's got to be a strategy shift unless, like I said, either these news agencies or reporters really just don't give a fuck. And they're like, I've got a job. I don't care who's president. I make enough money. I'm not going to be affected by it. I don't know. Who the fuck knows? But something's got to change. And I'm tired of these people just flat looking at these reporters and the cameras and looking at the American people and lying and being able to basically get away with it without any pushback whatsoever. But I don't know. I maybe I'm looking at it differently.
I mean, it's a way to look at it. I get it. Like I get the frustration because I feel it too, but I just also feel like they need to be in the room. Like they just need to be in the room just in case. Like they just need to be in the room. And at least if they're in the room and they can ask the question, then they can go back on a show and say, yes, I was in the briefing room, blah, 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 blah. I asked this question. She just went over my head and then at least they can report on it. Like, I don't know.
And there are good things that you say that now that you say that, like Elon Musk literally had to admit that we made a mistake talking about condoms to Gaza, stuff like that.
Sometimes you may get a slip up, like you may and I think that's sometimes why they will go to Trump when he's in doing whatever, just to hear if there's something that they can get. Like, I know it's for sound bites and clicks and, all of those things, but also to see, what does he say? I mean, that Hegseth thing was good, right? Because he lied. He lied, right? So would we say they shouldn't have asked him because we knew he was going to lie? No, they should have asked him because then we got to see him sweat. And then we got to act all nervous and try to evade and start talking about some other nonsense. Like he was drunk. We got that clip. We got that.
Yeah. Well, that's why I'm glad you're here, because you can counter me on what I was ranting about. But I think at the end of the day, where I'm the most frustrated is we do even get these questions. We do get the slip ups, but there is just a brainwashed amount of people in this. It doesn't matter how they answer, doesn't matter what they answer. They're going to go back and do exactly what Caroline Leavitt does and all these other assholes. What about Biden destroying this country for 4 years? And Biden didn't destroy the country for 4 years, but that's the kind of nonsense that they say. But but let's get started officially with the show. Do you want to do that with me, Lana?
Yes, I'm going to eat as well because, again, I'm running late for everything.
Lana, you do whatever you want to do. You and I are not getting paid by George Soros, like some people think every once in a while. And I got to say,
I wish there was. Can someone pay me to do?
I got to say, it's kind of flattering sometimes when somebody actually thinks that we're getting paid, and not just paid, but by George Soros. Jesus Christ. So you do your thing. So we're going to start the show.
Okay.
What do you think the top story is going to be, Lana?
The Hegseth.
Yeah, you're correct. Yeah.
Of course.
So the most unqualified and inept administration in the history of this country just came out with another doozy. We have basically what amounted to a group of people on an app that you can download from the Apple App Store or any other app store. And they are sending text messages back and forth to each other about war plans against Yemen. And not only that, they included a reporter from the Atlantic. And I'm guessing that that was done by mistake. There's no way that they would have those text messages back and forth with each other, knowing that there was a reporter from the Atlantic. And if they did and admitted that, that is even way more egregious than the fact than not knowing that he was on there. In fact, to me, I would have said, shit, that's one thing we didn't know he was on there. That's our bad. But of course, again, in this administration, they're not going to admit that.
No, it's never acknowledge, never apologize. We don't know what happened. Who are those guys?
That's what I was ranting about before you came on, is that it's Donald Trump's strategy his whole life is to never admit you're wrong and always attack back. Exactly. And that's what this whole administration has been. Absolutely. But this is Pete Hegseth when he first gets the job. He's with Donald Trump in his office, and he's going to set the record straight about how things are going to be run from now on. And now that old administration is gone, here is why we are the good and best choice for this country.
Previous administration, we looked like fools. Not anymore. President Trump has reestablished American leadership. The F-47 is part of it. And Mr. President, thank you for having the courage to do it and leading the way for all our warfighters.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Pete, for telling us about how the last administration, who not one time had a group text with a group of people about war and included a journalist into that text.
I one up you. The black guy.
Right. The one they called a DEI hire.
Exactly. Never did it. The one with all the stripes and stuff. Never did it. Never.
The one with actual credentials, the one with an actual resume. Did he ever, by the way, Lana, and I don't know if he did or not, because this might hurt him a little bit, but did he ever host a weekend morning show on a cable news network?
Let me see. Was he on the Breakfast Club? Did he host that? No, I don't know.
Was he on the Breakfast Club?
I don't think so.
Because apparently that's the best credentials that Pete Hegseth has. They hosted a morning show it wasn't even the weekday. It was a weekend morning show. And I think it was only Sundays.
You know what's hilarious? I was saying MAGA have been very quiet, but because, their sexual assaulter, alcoholic guy, right, is in the news. So they all had to pounce today. And this is what they were saying. And they were posting, all of them across the board. Well, the last guy, and they would put a picture of him, wore a mask when he was in wherever he was, Indonesia. But look at him running like he works out. I'm like, what? It was that. They were showing pictures of Lloyd Austin because he's a big guy in a mask, probably around COVID.
Yeah.
With Hegseth jogging. I'm just like, what does that have to do with experience? Oh, well, Lloyd Austin, yeah, what did he went AWOL for a week or something. It's like, what does that have to do with our national security? Once again, it's that false equivalency. MAGA, just if y'all are out there, jump in the chat because Brian would love to talk to you. 100%. And I still have a question because what's up with the false equivalencies? I don't understand how those two things are equivalent. One who actually got in trouble, right, for not telling his boss, Biden, that he was having that cancer treatment. But he also let the deputy, I don't know, whoever was after him, they let that person know, right? So that person knew. So somebody was still in charge. How's that the same as them on Signal? It's not even the journalist so much as these people on Signal.
It's not a false equivalency line. Well, it is, but that's all they've got. That's why they don't know how to handle anything except for going back and saying whataboutism. But the whataboutism with them, even the what about stuff isn't even true. That's what is so fucking crazy about these idiots. If I or you were to do about what about or if Obama had ever done this, that would 100% be true. But their whataboutism, that's even false.
Right.
Here is Jeffrey Goldberg. This is the reporter from The Atlantic, and he was talking to Jen Psaki on her show. This guy, by the way, Lana, I don't know if you agree with me, and I'll let you answer this. He's an American hero. This guy didn't wait 2 years until he could write a book about it and let it come out. He let it come out instantly. And there is absolutely no question that this guy knows how dangerous this could be for him. And he let this come out and said, this is a story that the American people 100% need to know. But this is with him on Jen Psaki, basically giving him how he alerted the White House.
Interesting, and I want to look at the timeline, but I find it interesting that I believe that was early in the afternoon. I alerted the White House shortly after 9 in the morning, and that was emails and texts and calls to Mike Waltz, Stephen Miller, Susie Wiles, and so on. I found it interesting, and again, I want to figure this out. The president said he didn't know.
Yeah, those were all the dipshits that were on that particular chain of email or text messages. And he didn't just stop there. He was on a few other shows, and he's been all around basically saying, guys, this is not good. And there are people who have been in the military who said this is as not even amateurish. This is dangerous, and this is as inept as anything. And people love talking about these. Let me ask a question. If Elon Musk, he owns SpaceX, and if something this detrimental happened to SpaceX, what do you think would have happened to that employee?
Fired, right? Of course, fired.
Instantly.
Fired.
Yeah. And nobody is taking accountability for it. Nobody. They're all saying, what's the big deal? Nothing happened. This is the same thing as basically having a 0.20 blood alcohol content level, driving home drunk and saying nobody got killed, so what's the big deal?
Right. You just put all of our national security out there. Not only that, it's like you're saying names, right? Like now we're getting into what you're going to do, who's going to do it, and when they're going to do it. So that person that is out in the field, if you're dropping bombs, I mean, someone's going to fly over somewhere. I mean, this is just like basic, right? Like not getting into all of the stuff. My basic mind goes, drop bomb, pilot, some type of flight over some type of where, right? There's coordinates and all of that.
Yep.
If you're on signal and someone hacks into it and gets those coordinates of that flight and that pilot, that means they can shoot it down. So that means that now we've put our people, their life on the line. Like this is not really hard to follow unless you just don't want to follow it. And how long have they been doing this? This isn't the first time they've been using Signal. Donald Trump, the first time he was president, wasn't that a problem because this motherfucker was using his iPhone or a fucking BlackBerry or whatever the hell he was using? He wouldn't stop using it. He was logging into the presidential Twitter on one of those regular phones.
Ivanka too was doing the same thing when she had somehow security clearance in the White House, which was insanity. But there's absolutely no question about it, Lana. We know that Russia is trying to hack into every fucking thing the United States does. And if you don't think that Russia is not trying to hack into what Pete Hegseth and everybody else is doing, you're out of your mind. And if Russia somehow did get this, I'm guessing they probably would have alerted Yemen.
But that guy, Walls or whatever the guy was, he was already in Russia.
Right. That's the other thing too. He was in Moscow.
Who doesn't? They already are in your phones if you're in Russia.
Right.
That's just what they do. Like you're not going to be in Russia and they're not going to be hacking into your phone.
Could you imagine if they did get the heads up and we found the story out and there was a pilot that perished from this? What could they have possibly said at that point? I mean, how do you get out of that? But they would have, Lana. That's what they would have. They would have spent it some way.
Pilot error.
What about Hillary Clinton? Whatever. I don't know what the fuck. But speaking of, I mean, just inept and unqualified, Donald Trump, when he was asked about it, had no idea about it. But when he was told about it, of course, what does he do? He blames the journalist that was on the text message. And this is why this is just this country. We are now literally probably in the bottom 10% of dumbest countries on earth right now. But here was his response
to the story, The Atlantic, that said that.
Wait a minute. Why is this doing this?
Oh, there's another example.
Officials and aides have been discussing very sensitive material through Signal and included an Atlantic reporter for that. What is your response to that?
I don't know anything about it. I'm not a big fan of The Atlantic. To me, it's a magazine that's going out of business. I think it's not much of a magazine, but I know nothing about it. You're saying that they had what?
They were using Signal to coordinate on sensitive materials and
Having to do with what?
Wow.
Having to do with what? What were they talking about?
with the Houthis.
The Houthis? You mean the attack on the Houthis? Right. Well, it couldn't have been very.
I'm going back. Watch the reaction of the reporter, the bald guy here, when he's asked, this is the president of the United States. Yeah. He has no idea about this. This is fucking insane. But watch the reaction.
On sensitive materials and
having to do with what? Having to do with what? What were they talking about?
With the Houthis.
The Houthis? You mean the attack on the Houthis? Right. Well, it couldn't have been very effective because the attack was very effective. I can tell you that. I don't know anything about it. You're telling me about it for the first time. Anybody else?
I don't want to talk about this anymore.
Go ahead.
Yep. No, just anyone else? I don't want to talk about this anymore. Any more questions?
This is fucking insane. This is insane. We talk about the whataboutism. What about if that happened under Joe Biden? What about if do you think Fox News would be reacting the exact same way if this happened under a Democratic president?
He just signed an executive order requiring proof of citizenship to vote in federal elections. What does that mean? Bring your birth certificate?
Okay.
Vote? What does that mean?
I have no idea. But first of all, they keep... Again, this is all just planned out rhetoric.
Right.
They're trying to act as if there are people that are in this country that are not here legally that are voting.
Like, what? They can't vote. It's illegal for them to vote.
Like, what line do they go up to? And whoever is sitting there, the volunteer or whatever, and they just say, I'm here to vote. And they go, okay, go ahead. And don't check anything.
It's not on the voter rolls or anything. We'll just handwrite you in the voter. Like, what?
But see, this again, Lana, this is why we're doomed, because we have grown adults with at least a minimum high school education who are not smart enough to understand that that is not true. And I want you to think about for a second what the fuck I just said, that there are grown adults who believe that people are here illegally when it is illegal to do, when you have somebody sitting there that checks you in when you go to vote, that they believe that there are not just one or two, but millions of people across the country that go in and do this.
Right. They can't vote. They can't vote.
I'm telling you, man, I don't know.
Why would they want to? Why would they want to risk outing themselves? Like, if you're here illegally, let me just walk into this place.
Right. Yeah. I'm here illegal, and now I'm gonna go in and do something really illegal, and let's see if I can get away with it.
Exactly. Is that important?
Oh my God. I can't believe there are people that can look themselves in the mirror and not be ashamed of themselves. I can't believe it. I just can't believe it. But
Oh, they're too stupid to know they're stupid.
yeah, and that's probably what it is. But this may be a guy who is too stupid to know he's stupid. This is Pete Hegseth, who is basically in control of all this. He was asked about this. And of course, this is going to be the reaction of all MAGAs all the time when they completely fuck up.
One question.
Can you share how your information about war plans against the Houthis in Yemen was shared with a journalist in The Atlantic? And were those details classified?
You're talking about a deceitful and highly discredited so-called journalist who's made a profession of peddling hoaxes time and time again.
Let me tell you something, brother.
Has he? Like, like, do you even know who he is? Somebody thought he was important enough to have him as a contact. So is he
right?
bad? Like, he was literally in someone's phone.
But again, if this guy is telling me that this hack reporter was on this text message group chat and he didn't know it, he is the guy in charge of all this, and he didn't know it, he should be fired right away. And by the way, his own White House admitted to this actually happening. So he is saying, we don't need to believe this third-rate reporter because who knows if he's even telling the truth.
He was on there.
He's got the receipts.
Exactly. What do you say? Like, he wasn't on there, or who cares because he was a third-rate reporter? You're like a third-rate Fox News host. Like, what do you talk? Was it Fox News? What the hell was he just hosting?
He was a AA baseball player for Fox News, basically. He wasn't even one of the top guys on there, but let's let him continue on his ridiculous spin.
And to include the hoaxes of Russia.
Oh boy.
Find people on both sides hoax, or suckers and losers hoax. So this is the guy that peddles garbage. This is what he does.
It's like he's just naming shit. What are we talking
He's doing what he wants Daddy to do. He's naming all of Daddy's greatest hits. Is basically what he's doing.
He's like, what else? He's like, Russia. Fine. Like, what else can I think about?
And he's so pathetic. And you know what, Lana? In his little drunk brain, this guy knows this isn't going to be his first fuck up. He knows he's not cut out for this job. So he is on the defensive early. And at some point, even his own brain is going to tell him, I'm not cut out for this job. And he's going to fire back even worse. And he's going to become more and more unhinged. And if he gave up drinking, my guess is he's going to be back on that bottle very, very soon.
No, he didn't. How do you give up?
He what?
No, I'm just saying, if you're an alcoholic, you can't give up. He has a drink every day. No way he doesn't want to drink. There's no way.
No question.
He'd have the shakes. He'd be going through withdrawals right now.
That is true.
And maybe he is. He looks like he's having some issues.
That's what I said. He's got this issue, but well, I'm gonna let him finish up because watch how he ends the interview here.
On the Houthi campaign, because of the skill and courage of our troops, I've monitored it very closely from the beginning. And you see, we've been managing 4 years of deferred maintenance under the Trump administration. Our troops, our sailors were getting shot at as targets. Our ships couldn't sail through. And when they did shoot back, it was purely defensively or at shacks in Yemen. President Trump said, no more. We will reestablish deterrence. We will open freedom of navigation, and we will ultimately decimate the Houthis, which is exactly what we're doing as we speak from the beginning, overwhelmingly.
Why were those details?
Oh, that wasn't the clip. There was a clip where he ends the interview and he basically stares into the camera and basically is yelling at people. And again, this is their idea. This administration, all it is theater, and it's professional wrestling. It is, we're going to yell at our opponents constantly. We're never going to give in. And this is the kind of nonsense that we've got to take from people in the most important positions, not just in this country, but in the entire fucking world. This is insane. And anybody that backs this nonsense, then you are just beyond stupid at this point. Beyond stupid. And I have really no desire to even interact with any of those people anymore, unless you're in our group chat, or if you're in our little chat here, you're therapy for me. So that's fine. If you want to come into the group or into this chat, or if you want to come at me on TikTok Live, that's a nice therapy. But outside of that, in just regular world, I don't even want to talk to you, because it's just nonsense.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. it's just really bad.
Yeah.
Russia.
I know. This is so stupid. And by the way, they keep saying Russia. Russia was 100% legitimate. There were people who went to jail over Russia. They 100% interfered into our election. If you want to say that they couldn't find any particular dirt on Donald Trump specifically, where he colluded with the government of Russia, you can say that all you want to. But people in his administration absolutely did. His own son did. So I don't know why the fuck you people keep saying this shit. Actually, I take that back. I know exactly why you keep saying it. You say it over and over and over again because we don't have a media, and we didn't have Democrats push back enough to say, why the fuck do you people keep saying Russia? Let's go over the facts over Russia. You keep acting like this is some scheme or some hoax that we made up. It's not. And that's what they should have done for, I don't know, 8 years now, and they just didn't do it. And this is why we're at where we're at. That's part of the reason why.
Yeah. They were also saying that on that text message chain, it was odd that Susan Rice said this, that I think it was like the Joint Chief of Staff wasn't there, and there was someone else that should have been there because she's
the president.
Well, yeah, but Joint Chief of Staff and someone else, because if you're going to do strikes, you need somebody else who is there to coordinate that kind of thing. Like, that wouldn't be Hegseth's job, right? Like some of that stuff, like it's a mass coordination. It was, and she thought it was very strange that that guy wasn't there.
Yeah. There's a lot of things very strange about this administration and how we're going to get through fucking 3 years and 10 more months of this. I have absolutely no idea. And it's only going to get worse before it gets better. I hope I'm wrong. I don't think I am. But this is Pete Hegseth, by the way, when he was interviewed a long time ago about Hillary Clinton and her emails. He had very strong words about this.
Professional, military.
Why does that keep happening? That is pissing me off. Lana Quest. All right. You ready?
Yeah.
Or otherwise, would be fired on the spot for this type of conduct and criminally prosecuted for being so reckless with this kind of information. The fact that she wouldn't be held accountable for this, I think, blows the mind of anyone who's held our nation's secrets dear, who's had a top secret clearance like I have and others, who know that even one hiccup causes a problem.
That's why these people continue to not be genuine over and over and over again. That's why I can't stand listening to these MAGA people, whether it is part of the administration, whether it's part of the right-wing propaganda machine, or it's the fucking moronic flying monkeys who repeat everything that they say.
It's the hypocrisy. It's just where we're at.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just ignore it. They get to do it. They are white men. They get to do what they want to do. They are wealthy. They can just do it. What, they're doing that because they are better than everyone else. So they don't have to go through the proper channels. They're so much better. In America, wait. And we keep saying this, right? We're still early on in this administration. Something catastrophic is going to happen.
No question.
It's going to happen within these 4 years.
Yep.
It just is. It may not happen this year, maybe 2026, 2027, but you better fucking believe they're coming for us.
Yep. Catastrophic
allies.
And it could be so many different things, Lana. Obviously catastrophic with the economy, obviously catastrophic with violence, catastrophic with foreign adversaries attacking the country. Something is going to happen, and unfortunately
privatized, like something is going to happen.
And by the way, Lana, everything that we just named could all happen.
Yes.
At this point. And it is because, again, it is from the most inept and unqualified administration. And really, at the end of the day, they're evil people. And you're right. All it is at this point are multi-billionaires who just want to take over this entire world themselves and damn the rest of us. They don't give a fuck, and they really don't give a fuck about you stupid fucks who continue to constantly defend them. It just drives me insane that they're just so sad and pathetic to do this.
Yeah, they just get off on like regular normal people who talk about it, right? Like they think that we're who get the liberal tears, and it's like nobody's crying, dude. We're giving information. Like no one's crying. You're dumb because you're going to be crying. Like if you think that is funny that your grandma is not going to be able to call the Social Security office is right at this moment cannot call the Social Security office because I've heard the system has crashed 4 times in 2 weeks, in 10 days. Something's going on right now because they wanted to crash because they want you dumbass, stupid MAGA to be like, oh, it's not working. Maybe it should be privatized. It'll work better. So then you give the rich billionaires your money so they can play with it and buy crypto and basically gamble it up and see what they can do. Like, y'all are dumb. It's just fucking stupid.
Actually, that's a segue. We'll get back to Pete Hegseth, but because you just said that, this is Howard Lutnick. He is the Secretary of Commerce, and he was on the All In podcast, which is another one of these. They're a podcast who pretend they're just dudes talking and they're down the middle, but they are far right wing. They all kind of morph into the far right wing sort of talking points, and that's why they have people like Howard Lutnick on and guys like this. But this is him basically talking about Social Security. If you're calling them and you don't get your check, it's no big deal. Everybody just calm down. This is coming from a billionaire, and he's talking about somebody in his family that if it happened to them.
Say Social Security didn't send out their checks this month. My mother-in-law, who's 94, she wouldn't call and complain. She just wouldn't. She'd think something got messed up, and she'll get it next month. A fraudster always makes the loudest noise, screaming, yelling, and complaining.
Well, that I 100% agree with because we've got them in the White House and all over the place.
Exactly.
But could you imagine having the fucking balls to say out loud that if you don't get your Social Security check, you're a big whiner and all you're doing is whining and complaining. And if you don't get your check, you'll get it next month. And fucking, if I don't get it this month, who's to say I'm going to get it next month?
What a gaslighter, right? Like
unbelievable.
Gaslighting people like, oh, they're going to think I'm a fraudster if I call and I didn't get my check. So I'm going to sit here and be fucking hungry and cold and not be able to put oil in my house or pay for gas or food. Like, that doesn't even make sense. Your 94-year-old grandmother probably doesn't have to call anyone. She probably has caretakers and everybody else waiting hand and foot on her. She doesn't fucking care about no Social Security check because she doesn't need it. You're a billionaire. Like, stop playing with us right now. I just heard a story about a man. The Social Security office thought he was dead. Stopped sending out his checks, and not only stopped sending out his checks, went into his account and tried to take money back. Wow. Was taking money back from his account. So he called the Social Security office, his local office, in which they've got it, trying to get someone. Then he had to go down there. He had to schedule an appointment. Then they canceled his appointment because they didn't have anyone and rescheduled it for 2 weeks later. Meanwhile, he ain't got a check, right? Like, he don't have money. He's trying to get his check and say, hey, I am alive. And then he had to travel to the Social Security office. Like, what the fuck are we doing right now? It's the same thing as him picking up people off the street with a certain tattoo and like, hey, put them on a plane and send them back to Venezuela. We don't know what they did. We don't care what they did. They must have committed a crime sometime in their life. Maybe they shoplifted. We don't know. Jaywalked. We don't know, but we're just going to say they're gang members. And who cares if they get freaking due process or a chance to say, you got it wrong. You made a mistake. They don't give a fuck. They don't give just like this guy. They don't give a fuck about that either. Like, if you don't get your Social Security check, oops, our bad. Don't call us. Just wait. Maybe you'll get it someday.
Yeah, being the loud fraudsters is the new pick yourself up by your bootstraps, because that worked back in the 80s. And now you're going to get some people that will be like, well, I don't want to let down Mr. Trump and make him think that I'm upset with him. So I'll just wait and see what happens next month and I'll get my check then. It is just amazing to me. But here's the problem, America. Whether you are black or white, whether you are Republican or Democrat, independent, Green Party, it does not matter. Whether you're MAGA, they're coming for you. They don't give a shit about you. And one day, if it hasn't happened already in just this 2 short months, it is going to affect you, and it's going to affect you hard. And whether or not you can either find it in yourself to finally say, I fucked up. I can't love this guy too much. I can't love him more than I love myself. Because if you do, then there is absolutely no hope for you whatsoever. But maybe someday you're going to wake up and say, I finally can't do it with this administration anymore. I just can't. We were warned. I didn't believe them. I just thought it was a bunch of liberals who really wanted my son or to my daughter to play against his girl son in sports. That I really thought that liberals had a wide open border and they wanted immigrants to take my job and to take everybody else's job and to murder and rape everybody in the country. But now that I see finally that I made a huge mistake and I regret my vote, and I will never, ever allow that again. Unfortunately, we're at a point now where it may not even matter at this point anymore. It may not even matter because they don't care about you. Every bad thing can happen to every single American. And as long as it doesn't happen to them, they will continue to write the script as to why you should continue to try to find a way to pull yourself up by your bootstraps and make it work somehow.
But it is happening to them, and they don't care.
Yep.
I saw something.
Some do.
I saw something today. I don't know what state it was, but either these people were on their honeymoons or newlywed, or they just got married. I don't know. But ICE took the wife and detained her, and you saw that she's been gone since friggin' February. And he said, "It's okay. I still support Trump."
Yep.
And I would vote for him again. Wait, yeah, but I still support him. And his wife is detained.
And his wife apparently on her social media pages was a Trump supporter as well. So you know, this guy's also trying he's trying to raise money on a GoFundMe. He's asking for $3,000. And again, if you're somebody that doesn't have the $3,000 to come up with, then I promise you, Donald Trump is not the president for you. He doesn't care that you don't have the $3,000 to help out your wife.
Correct.
It's amazing, man. It is just amazing how people love getting gaslit. But back to the gaslighting with Pete Hegseth, we talked about earlier that they have an administration that you admit no wrong, and not only do you not admit wrong, you spin it in a way to where it's not even close to their fault. This is Josh Hawley, probably one of the biggest wusses in the history of Congress. He was the guy, if you remember, that was running as fast as he could on January 6th, the same day when he was giving them the big fist and pumping them up. But he was the first one pushing women over. He was pushing, he was the fuck out of there. He didn't give a damn.
Yeah.
But this is with him with Laura Ingraham explaining to her why, let's move on, guys.
11:44 a.m. The plan included precise information about weapons packages, targets, and timing. Senator, your reaction to this?
Well, I thought what the Secretary of Defense just said, Laura, was an outstanding statement. And listen, I mean, we don't know how much of this is accurate or not, but it looks like even if everything the Atlantic reported is true, it's the president's advisors discussing among themselves options they might recommend to the president. And nobody can deny the success of what the president is doing here, which is what Pete Hegseth just underscored. And this is what the leftist media is reduced to. They can't argue with the policies, which the American people support. They can't argue with this new demonstration of American strength that is keeping Americans safe at home and abroad. And so now we're griping about who's on a text message and who's not. I mean, come on.
Oh my God. And acting like that is not a big deal. And then they're doing the same bullshit that they always do. Blame the left. You know why they continue to do it? Because it's fucking worked. It has worked for the last 8 years. And even though Joe Biden won that election in 2020, the fact that it was even as close as it was is still saying a lot of how their messaging gets out to the American people. You're going to blame the left. And I will tell you, coming from the side that always claims alpha men and calling other guys beta men, I have never seen a bigger group of quote unquote beta men than these dudes on the MAGA side. And I'm talking about every single one of them, whether they are part of the administration, whether they are part of the right-wing propaganda media, or you are one of their voters. You are a soft, sorry excuse for a man because you are always on your knees gargling this guy as much as you can, and it is pathetic.
I know. Unbelievable.
Yep.
They know better. Rubio knows better. They know better. It's just it's bad. And what they're doing is they're switching us and making us talk about the reporter on that group chat when it's more about they were on Signal, something that was hackable. That's the first and foremost, because they're not supposed to be doing this on their personal phones or on Signal when they're saying you're supposed to be in a skiff in a private air. There's protocol for this. This is literally against the law. What they did is against the law. So not only would someone else, who worked in government, if they did this kind of stuff, you wouldn't just get fired. You may be charged with
something. Correct. Thankfully, by the way, Lana, that journalist was on there, because if he wasn't, this would go on throughout their entire administration.
Right.
And who knows if they will even correct it. They're so arrogant that they might say, we don't give a fuck. We're still going to do whatever the fuck we want to.
They're going to do it. They're going to still do that. They're still going to use Signal. And now everyone's going, and they probably already have gotten hacked and don't even know it because they're too stupid. Like, this administration is just they're really stupid. They don't know. They don't have experience. How would they know? How would they know certain things? Just how would they? Trump has fired everyone who knows anything. So these people are just in here, just blind, making it up as they go. They don't have any real, they don't just think like Trump with the fucking tariffs. We're just tariffing everything. We don't need Canada. We fucking do need Canada. We need Canada's electricity. What do you think? We don't need their electricity. Then why do we have it in the first place? Apparently we do. Apparently we also need their lumber. Right? Like there's things that we don't have. We're not going to make an iPhone here next year. It's not going to happen because it can't happen. And if it ever does happen, it's going to cost you $1,500. Like you're not going to, like it's just not. It makes you want to beat your head on something because it's like, I cannot believe that people are this fucking stupid.
I can't either.
And it's not just like it's okay not to just know stuff because people just don't know. People don't follow like this, but just not to even want to look it up.
Yeah,
that's what gets me.
Yep.
If somebody's telling me fucking someone's making bombs with condoms, I'm looking that shit up. Like, how is that? That doesn't make sense to me. How does it work? What's going on? Let me Google and make it make sense. Like, you don't even have to use your hands anymore. You could be like, hey, Alexa, are they making condoms? You know what I mean? Alexa's right here. She would tell me. Look at she's
going to tell you now.
Yeah, exactly. She's like,
like she's going to say, that's the dumbest question you've asked me so far, Lana Quest. I don't know why anybody would ask me something that's stupid.
Right. You got Chat GPT,
even
Grok, or whatever, however you pronounce it. It will give you the answers.
And I've used it, and it actually is, it doesn't, you would think because it's an Elon Musk sort of AI that it's going to be biased, but it's not. I've used it before. And, and even if you look it up on AI, you can continue to do research on it through Google and stuff like that, rather than just taking the word of the first thing that you see, because unfortunately you can't do that anymore. I mean, when we're looking up things, it's more highly likely that what we're looking up the first time is true. But there are times where we can obviously confirm it. But I don't know. You're right about the people that just wear the stupidity on their sleeves so proudly. And there was a time where if you didn't know anything about something and it wasn't a subject you weren't necessarily into, you just like, I don't really know. That's really not my thing. But everybody wants to make politics their thing now, and they need to find the angle to talk about. And what a lot of dumb people do is they find the easiest angle to talk about. They find the route of what is the easiest for me to understand, because if I have to read beyond what Joe Rogan or All In Podcast is telling me, then that's just too much. But if I can understand what they're telling me, and then I can regurgitate that in an argument against a liberal, then now I'm part of the conversation, and I'm dominating this conversation because of the facts that they gave me, when obviously not one fucking thing they say is true.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Lana, the woman that is in charge basically of intelligence, was being questioned today. Her name is Tulsi Gabbard, another one that has been accused of being a Russian asset, but now she's in charge of our intelligence. That's just fucking fantastic. But she was being questioned today as to whether or not there was any confidential information on these text messages. She denied it. So, of course, the obvious question was asked after that.
The defense secretary or others, after this specific military planning was put out, and say, hey, we should be doing this in a skiff?
There was no classified material that was shared in that.
So then if there was no classified material, share it with the committee. You can't have it both ways. These are important jobs. This is our national security.
I just look at her for a second.
Yeah.
She has the face of unqualified employee. That's what she has, that look when somebody calls you into the office and you said, hey, I saw you on camera stealing. That is the expression that she has.
Right, because now it's not written down for her, right? So when when she first read that, all that spiel she did, she sounded like she knew what the fuck she was talking about, because that shit was all written down. Now she's like a deer in headlights. She's like, whoa, like what?
Lana, I don't know. Does this say a little bit more about Tulsi Gabbard than the others? And the reason why I'm asking that question is because a lot of the other grifters would easily be able to come back with some nonsensical answer to get the American people to buy into it. She can't even bring herself to say something so insane other than there were no classified, and she can't spin it in a way that would make the flying monkeys repeat it.
Right, because now he's like, well, then show it. If there's no classified, then that means that journalist can show everything that he saw.
Right. I mean, her look at that look. It is classic.
Yeah.
Bobbing and weaving and trying to, filibuster your answer. So please answer the question.
She couldn't answer the question. She sat there with that dumbfounded look on her face because she may not have that in her. She may not have the over-the-top, ridiculous answer. And she's just kind of like, how the fuck do I get through this? Let me get out of here and let's move on.
Yeah, she'll get off and call her daddy, her orange daddy, and be like, how did I do, daddy? Like,
Yep. Well, the director of the CIA, John Ratcliffe, he was also on that text message, and he was being questioned very strongly by John Ossoff, senator from Georgia. And this was a really good exchange, and this is the kind of energy that I think that we need towards these people who continue to lie in their faces.
Ratcliffe, this was a huge mistake, correct?
No.
Unreal.
Like, no?
A national political...
Hold on.
No, you
Let me
hold
answer.
on. No,
The
Director
answer- the
Ratcliffe,
reason
I
I
asked
say
you a yes or
no-
no question, and now you hold on. A national political reporter
You can characterize it how you want.
was made privy
The White
to
House has
sensitive
made
information
clear-
about
John Ratcliffe's doing his best to make sure daddy is pleased.
imminent
was an
military
inadvertent
operations against a
mistake,
foreign terrorist
inadvertent
organization.
mistake of adding a reporter.
And that wasn't a huge
to a
mistake?
seal.
That wasn't a huge mistake?
Well, I think they characterize
This is
it as
an
a mistake.
embarrassment. This is utterly unprofessional. There's been no apology. There has been no recognition of the gravity of this error. And by the way, we will get the full transcript of this chain, and your testimony will be measured carefully against its content. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Ossoff. He has grown into that part. Y'all
Yep.
better vote for this man again.
Yep, no question about it. And that is, like I said, that's the kind of energy that we need. And, I do hear a lot of the people out there, the Democrats better make sure that they do something about it. I'm not really sure what you do, though, other than continue to call them out and just say, we are calling for you to step down. We're calling you for, to do this, do that. The Democrats have no power. They just have no power at all. These people are going to look at the Democrats or anybody else that goes against this, and they're going to go, okay, go away. We don't give a shit what you have to say.
Yeah.
But it does need to be called out. I'm not saying not to call it out. But what I'm saying is there are people out there acting like that if Pete Hegseth does not step down tomorrow, it's the Democrats' fault.
Right. Like we can't make him, just like we cannot make Trump do what that judge keeps asking him to do. And he keeps saying, right. We keep saying, we're on the verge of a constitutional crisis. No, we're here.
Yep.
He's ignoring that judge. Like he's not paying attention. That judge there's nothing that judge can do.
Yeah, if we get to the point now where they're just ignoring judges' orders, what if they ignore the Supreme Court? Again, we talked about this last week. What are they going to do about it?
Yes, TikTok is not banned. He has ignored the Supreme Court. We are at a constitutional crisis. Like we are here and we're not even a year in.
Yep.
We're here.
I will say, in fairness, I think the TikTok ban, there was a stipulation, I believe, in the ruling that they could extend it for a certain period of time to give them a chance to find a buyer. And I believe that expires in the first week of April. So we'll see what happens from that point. But finally, Lana, different subject, or it's no longer about Pete Hegseth. But it is still on the same subject. Basically, this administration thinking they're just going to run over, threaten, and intimidate people. This is Pam Bondi, and she is on Fox News, which, by the way, the Attorney General, who continues to show up on cable news channels basically every night, is starting to get embarrassing. Will these people just fucking do their jobs instead of trying to find a way to get on TV to get their sound bites? But this time she attacked Jasmine Crockett, saying that she better watch her step if she doesn't watch her mouth about the great, powerful Elon Musk.
If you talk about taking somebody out or taking them down or knocking somebody over the head and knocking them over the head hard, are those threats of violence?
Yeah, Sean, it is. And you know, after she said that about Elon, she said, well, I didn't mean violence. But, however, your words have consequences. And what happened after she said that about Elon Musk, she's a Texan in her own home state. After she said that, this morning, 3 explosive devices were found in Austin, Texas.
Get the
so she
fuck.
needs to unequivocally denounce the violence. She must apologize immediately, not only to all Texans, but to our country, to the American shareholders of Tesla, because she is promoting violence. And then you showed the clip of what she said about Senator Cruz. I believe she probably will be censured by Congress for saying that. You know, people don't.
By the way, the 3 explosives in Texas, did she expand on that? I mean, would there just happen to be 3 explosives in Texas? And did you notice she didn't go on with the story? She didn't say they were at Tesla dealerships. She didn't say it had anything to do with Elon Musk. She just says 3 explosives.
Like at a military base? Like, what are we talking about?
Right. Yep. These people, man, that's why.
She's the attorney general. She's not even supposed to be political. What the fuck is she talking about?
Correct.
Why is she talking about this kind of thing? Like, what business is it of hers? What the fuck is happening in Congress? Why do you care about what's going on with Elon Musk, who does not work for the government? Like,
Right.
what's happening here?
Right. And I didn't have the clip, but Jasmine Crockett did respond. And she said, if Pam Bondi has a problem with violent criminals, then she may want to re-explore the ones that were released from the January 6th insurrection.
Facts, right? They keep ignoring that. And the ones they fucking pardon. We can't even forget fucking Ross Albright or whatever the fuck that dude's name, the human trafficker, fentanyl king. Like,
right.
Talking about, they let him go.
Yep.
But they want to stop human trafficking, but pardon a human trafficker.
Right.
Make it make sense.
Well, like you said, Lana, I mean, the recidivism rate of the January 6 people who were released, what do we have? At least 3 of them are dead. 5 of them, I think, got arrested at least, minimum.
And you got the fucking
again.
Enrique or whatever his name is, Torres, around like some fucking maniac threatening people, and you're talking about Jasmine Crockett? Like, shut the fuck up, Bondi. That is just crazy. They kill me with that words mean thing when you fucking have Donald Trump every day threatening somebody.
Yeah, I mean, literally every day they're making you think that immigrants are out there committing crimes. So people, those words matter because we have seen immigrants. We have seen during the pandemic when Donald Trump was talking shit about China and the China virus, those words mattered to a lot of Asian Americans who are getting assaulted daily by whack job Americans because they blamed Chinese people.
Haitian were eating dogs.
Right. Words matter. They only matter when it benefits their side. If it's against their side, then these are words of violence. These are words that could commit crimes. So you better be careful.
Excuse me, because I'm old enough to remember watching Elon Musk and Tucker Carlson sit and laugh about something happening to Kamala Harris.
Yeah,
like,
they said that nobody cares about Biden or Kamala enough to assassinate them.
But that's okay.
Yeah.
Everyone said that shit, laughed about it.
Yeah.
But now we're gonna say, "Oh my God, Jasmine was mean to Elon." Like, girl,
these people are disgusting. And again, I don't know, Lana. It makes you it makes you have emotions and anger that you never really thought that you
Right.
could really muster up.
Right.
And I'm not saying that is any sort of threat. I'm not saying that in any way, but I am saying without pause that it makes me angry. And what makes me angrier about it is that really there's nothing at this point that can be done about it. And I don't know if we'll ever be able to do anything about it. And we're going to have to continue to see how this plays out because we have no other choice. But as long as we have a group of people who absolutely have no problem lying to American people, making them look like foolish morons because they know they got them at this point. They know they have them at a point where we can literally say whatever we want to, and they are going to believe it. And not only believe it, they are going to regurgitate this to their friends, family, and coworkers. And that's where we're at. And I don't know how we overcome this, but we better find a fucking way, because if we don't, I don't know. This is like Lana said earlier, really, really, really bad things are going to happen in this country. Things that I honestly never thought I'd ever see before.
Yeah, agree.
Yeah.
Coming to a state near you.
No question.
It just is.
Yep. It is festering. Believe me, it is with the boiling point is very close, and we're only 2 months in. So if you don't think that it is possible to see this sooner than later, you're mistaking yourself. But we'll see what happens. We have next week, Lana. In fact, in 7 days, a week from today, a week from Tuesday, we have very important elections coming up in this country, 2 here in this state. And there's also a Supreme Court election in Wisconsin that everybody is going to be keeping an eye on there. So if there's any possible way that we can pull these elections off in Florida, even if we can get one and maybe pull out the one in New York, then we're only one behind in the House. And it only takes one House member to flip. And you got to remember, a lot of these houses and House races are in liberal states. There are Republicans in liberal states that you may be able to get 1 or 2 of them to flip and not vote for this nonsense. But I think you and I have talked about, even if they don't, do they just run over and say, we don't give a fuck? The House said no, the House didn't vote on this, or the House said no to this bill, we're just going to do it anyway. Who knows? But we need to keep an eye on those.
Right. Totally agree.
Yep. I am got to apologize. My first time, baby juggernaut and Angel, as always. Thank you for joining us. We always appreciate you being here, and thank you. And I see Lana has been responding, so I was a little late on the comments here, but thank you so much for joining as always. And just real quick, on a personal level, 48 hours from now, baseball season starts. My New York Mets are back, baby. And I'm very excited, Lana. Very, very excited about the Mets. I did send Lana a message late last night. She fell asleep, but I was watching the Celtics game. I don't know if you saw the replay, but Jason Tatum was on the ground screaming like he needed to have his leg amputated at that time. And I'm like,
and did the free throws, right? Like,
he first of all walked off the court, and I'm like, okay, this looks like he's out. Hopefully he didn't rupture his Achilles. And then next thing you know, he's shooting free throws. I'm like, oh, Jesus. And he finishes the game. So I can't imagine he'll be playing the next game, because that probably is going to be a little bit of an ankle sprain, but he is fine. But the Mets are back Thursday. And outside of that, Lana, I would like to see if you have anything to wrap up. By the way, it's Thursday night. Not only are the Mets back, but I'm going to assume that the Quest show will be back. Yes, it will be. So the Jesus Christ, could you imagine everybody's exciting Thursday? The Mets are on And then the Quest show? What?
Listen, tomorrow there's a hearing about Sesame Street, so
Great.
tune in to C-SPAN.
They're doing more important work for the American people. What a
That's funny.
fucking
They
joke.
wanna-
this
They don't
country
want your kids to learn anything, so they just
Nope.
get rid of
Education is dumb.
Yes, they just want to get rid of PBS. Like, can you imagine? Like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
I think at this point, I can't imagine.
They just want what, like Christian TV?
That's 100%. They want to turn this country into a full-fledged Christian national society, and that's why they're moving at warp speed. They're doing it and throwing all this shit.
They don't even want to be a part of that. Like, they are not Christians. Like, that's the crazy. They want everyone.
They wear the cross. They wear the crosses, though, Lana.
Yeah, wear the crosses, pretend like they're Christian, and they're out at like friggin' theaters groping and smoking weed. Like, but that's the Christian thing to do. Like, oh, these people are so off.
They are the fake, phony Christians and use that as their crutch to be awful, terrible people. They've interpreted the Bible however the fuck it is they wanted to interpret it, because what their Bible says is righteous for their march forward to turn this country into that Christian nationalist society. And basically what that means is control everybody that does not look and sound like us. That's what that really it comes down to. And they are fully in charge. So be prepared. Sadly.
It's okay.
No, it's not. I say it's not, and Alana's had this conversation with me before. She's like, we've been through this,
We're gonna get through it's gonna 4 years. We're gonna get through the 4 years. And I can't say I'm scared, right? Like, but we'll get through it. Some of us anyway.
I hope so. And I hope that in 4 years that there is normalcy still. I fear that normalcy is out the door and out the window, and there may be no getting it back. Maybe I'm preparing for the worst, because my dad always used to tell me that prepare for the worst, hope for the best.
Yeah.
And I think that is probably what is unconsciously in my brain, is to prepare for the worst and hoping for the best. And you always got to have hope. And, that's what we're doing. And again, it's not just for me, it is for this entire country and everybody that is my friends, family, coworkers, and neighbors, and hoping for everybody just like Lana is. And, we'll all make it through it.
Yeah, we'll be here.
All right. Well, and I'll always take my cues from Lana. That is for sure. So, all right, everybody, thank you for watching. Of course, Baby, Juggernaut, and Angel, again, thank you so much. We appreciate it. And watch Lana's show, The Quest Show, on Thursday night, live at 7 o'clock. Also go to her channel and subscribe, like, and all that stuff. And please like and subscribe our show. And we will see you again next Tuesday night. Thank you, guys. Good night.
Brian will be on TikTok later on tonight. So
I will be, but of course, I got suspended again. It's so annoying, that fucking app. And you know what? I hope somebody does buy it, like an American buys it, because it will be no hold. You can say whatever the fuck you want after that. But
said something that suspended you again.
I don't even know. I think somebody made a smart ass comment in the comment section, so I told him to fuck off. And then 5 seconds later, my account was suspended. So I don't know. But I think it's supposed to be renewed again tonight. I don't know. Who knows? But follow me on TikTok, and you'll find me on TikTok live from time to time. So,
bye, Angel. Bye, Baby J.
Bye, ladies. Good night, everybody. Talk to you soon.
Brian.
Bye. Good night.